As COVID-19 spreads, countries in the region are increasing vigilance at airports and borders, with restrictions on flights out of Europe in particular. The expected economic fallout is another growing cause for concern. March 13, Kenya confirms it. In Nigeria, Finance and Petroleum Ministers brief President Muhammadu Buhari on the effects of coronavirus on the economy. It is affecting what we very much depend on, the petroleum industry, and therefore revenue, Buhari tells health workers. Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, has confirmed case since February 28. Zimbabwe, a time Anwa prompted panic in Harare tests. Ghana and Gabon ban official travel. The government of Ghana also releases $100 million, €89 million to fight COVID-19. Read more, what you need to know about the coronavirus. March 10, Democratic Republic of Congo confirms its first case. The Belgian citizen tested positive at the airport and is quarantined. The DRC is fighting the world's worst Ebola and measles epidemic. South Africa sends a plane to collect 122 of the citizens who got stranded due to the coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan, China. The Southern African Development Community suspends all public events until further notice. Italy is the worst affected by coronavirus outside of China. March 9, Burkina Faso confirmed its first 2 cases late on Monday, a husband and wife who returned from a trip to France. South Africa confirms 4 new cases. Health officials say the 4 were among a group of people who had traveled to Italy. The patient is a Kenyan who traveled from views via London, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kag says. The latest cases bring to 7 the number confirmed in the country, making it the worst affected in sub-Saharan Africa. Nigeria confirmed the second case. The health minister says the patient was in Ogun State and had contacted the first reported case in Nigeria, an Italian man who was isolated on February 28. The Italian man had flown to Lagos from Milan via Istanbul in Turkey and traveled on to Ogun State before being isolated. Southern African Development Community health ministers attend an extraordinary meeting in Niger. Authorities have detained a journalist who made a post on Facebook about a suspected case. Amnesty International said. March 8, a German tourist died Sunday of the novel coronavirus in a Sinai resort of eastern Egypt, the health ministry announced, the first death from the epidemic recorded. South Africa confirms 3rd case. Health Minister William Kiza says the wife of the first man reported with coronavirus has tested positive. The couple had traveled to Italy. March 7, Senegal, with 4 confirmed cases, is worst affected in the region. Nigeria was swift and transparent in sharing the COVID-19 sequence from its first. World Health Organization, WHO, Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said South Africa to hold its one-day international cricket match against India without spectators. This is a true act of solidarity and an important step in stopping the #coronavirus from spreading. South Africa confirms its second case. Read more, coronavirus, how can I protect myself from infection? Send Facebook, Twitter, Google+, WhatsApp, Tumblr, LinkedIn, StumbleDig, News, Beam, Permalink, https://dw.com/p/3zfh6. March 6, Togo confirms its first case. The 42-year-old Lomé resident tested positive the previous day. She had returned from on a trip to Benin, Germany, France. The presidency says she is in isolation at a treatment center and all people she had contact with have been identified and put in quarantine. Cameroon confirms its first 2 cases. The Minister of Public Health says a Cameroonian citizen who had close contact with a French man, the first person to be diagnosed with COVID. Both are in isolation in Yaoundé Central Hospital. Uganda, the United Nations cancels Africa Climate Week, regional conference due to be held in the East. The world body notes that Uganda's health ministry has put in place measures for people arriving from affected and showing symptoms to be placed in quarantine at state hospitals. Nigeria, the WHO and the government in Abuja saying the 7 days since Africa's most populous country reported its first case, no new cases have been reported. South Africa's one-day international cricket match against India to be held without spectators. Health Minister Osaji Iyanire says 61 people who had contact with the one confirmed COVID-19 case were monitored since the first confirmed case on February 27. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, (NCDC) says it plans to boost its spending to prevent. The transport minister meanwhile says the completion of the Lagos to Ibadan railway project has been delayed because Chinese workers had not returned to the country due to the coronavirus. Ghana, President Nana Akufo-Addo says strict checks and screening procedures are being carried out at points of entry to Ghana. He also urges Ghanaians to stop shaking hands and cover their mouths when they sneeze or cough. The country's Catholic bishops outlaws handshakes and communion taken by. Read more. Coronavirus vaccine, a race against time. The WHO has described the growing number of cases outside China reporting their first COVID-19 cases as deeply concerning. Public health bodies are struggling to contain the epidemic. Follow DW for the latest updates. 07.03. 2020, the coronavirus outbreak has hit small businesses in Zimbabwe that import tech and clothing from China. Read more. Coronavirus and sports, DFL propose a league suspension. March 12. Gabon reports its first case, that of a 27-year-old man who recently returned home. As Privilege Musvanhiri reports from Harare, business owners say they are struggling to get supplies. 27.02. 2020, a new HIV treatment, injected every 8 weeks, is supposed to reduce stigma and discrimination in Uganda. The drug could be a breakthrough for all those infected, if African leaders are ready to invest. 03.03. 2020, pangolins may be the latest link in the coronavirus outbreak, but as with SARS and MERS, bats are the most likely original source of the deadly virus. Scientists believe bats' unique genetic quirks make them ideal hosts. 07.02. 2020, so far, 2 countries in sub-Saharan Africa have officially been affected by the COVID-19 disease, Nigeria and Senegal. But the economic consequences of the coronavirus outbreak are already being felt on the continent. 03.0. 2020, health officials in Nigeria moved quickly to quarantine the first confirmed case of. They, like many other countries in sub-Saharan Africa, have been gearing up for this scenario, but how prepared are they? 28.0. 2020, so far, 2 countries in sub-Saharan Africa have officially been affected by the COVID-19 disease, Nigeria and Senegal. Ghana confirms 2 cases. The 2 people had made recent trips to Norway and Turkey. Authorities say. South Africa says it has 17 confirmed cases but later revises the figure to 16. But the economic consequences of the coronavirus outbreak are already being felt on the. Health officials in Nigeria moved quickly to quarantine the first confirmed case of corona. They, like many other countries in sub-Saharan Africa, have been gearing up for this scenario, but how prepared are they? Up to 21 people aboard a California cruise ship have tested positive for the novel coronavirus, including 19 crew members. Public health authorities are struggling to contain the outbreak. Follow the latest updates here. Chad closes its border with Cameroon. Read more. Coronavirus latest. Trump suspends travel from Europe's Schengen countries. March 11. The World Health Organization says COVID-19 is now a pandemic. South Africa confirms 6 new cases of the coronavirus, bringing to 17 the overall number. Ivory Coast confirms its first case. The 45-year-old resident had been on a recent trip to